Wemby should be MVP this year. Here's why. 24.7 points per game, 11.5 rebounds per game, 3.1 blocks per game. Those aren't just good numbers. Those are some of the best numbers in the entire league, and they all belong to Wemby. Let's start with the scoring. 24.7 points per game puts Wemby at 13th in the NBA. That's top 15 scoring in a league full of elite offensive players. He's not just a big man who scores in the paint either. The efficiency backs it up. He's shooting 50.9% from the field, which ranks 32nd in the NBA. That's a guy who knows how to score and isn't wasting possessions doing it. Now the rebounds. 11.5 rebounds per game. That puts him 4th in the entire NBA. 4th, he's a top 4 rebounder in a league with some of the best big men we've seen in years. That kind of production from a player who's also a top 15 scorer is just rare. You don't see that combination often. But here's where it gets really interesting. The blocks. 3.1 blocks per game. He's 1st in the NBA, and it's not close. The guy in 2nd place, that's Chet Holmgren with 1.8. Jay Huff's got 1.8. Donovan Clingan's sitting at 1.7. Wemby's gap over 2nd place is 1.3 blocks per game. That's basically an entire extra block every single game over the next best shot blocker in the league. His defense presence is on a completely different level. Now let's talk about the Spurs as a team, because this is where things get really good. San Antonio is 59-18 on the season. 59 wins. Their win percentage is .766. They're 2nd in the Western Conference, sitting right behind the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are 61-16. The Spurs are a legitimate top 2 team in the entire West, and they've been playing like it. They've won 26 of their last 28 games. 26 of 28. That's one of the hottest stretches you'll see from any team this season. They're not just sneaking into the playoffs, they're built like an elite contender right now. His assist numbers sit at 3.0 per game, which ranks 86th in the NBA, so the passing isn't what's carrying his value. It's everything else. It's the scoring at 13th, the rebounding at 4th, and the blocks at 1st, all coming from one player. The overall picture of what he's doing statistically this season is hard to ignore. 24.7, 11.5, 3.1. Those 3 numbers tell the whole story of why he's putting together one of the most impressive stat lines in the league this year. But we gotta talk about his scoring. 24.6 points per game. That puts Wemby in the top 3% of all NBA players in scoring this season. Not top 10%, not top 5%, top 3%. He's outscoring more than 97% of the entire league. Let that sit for a second. When you look at the raw number, 24.6 points per game is already impressive on its own. But what makes it even more notable is how he's getting there. He's not just chucking shots and hoping something goes in. The efficiency numbers back up every single point he's putting on the board. And that's what separates a scorer from a great scorer. Let's talk about effective field goal percentage first. Wemby's sitting at 56.5%. That number ranks better than 76% of NBA players. Effective field goal percentage is important because it accounts for the fact that 3-pointers are worth more than 2-pointers. So when you're calculating how efficient a player actually is from the field, you adjust for that. And Wemby at 56.5% means he's genuinely one of the more efficient scorers in the league when you factor in the full picture of where and how he's shooting. Now break down how he's actually getting his points. He's averaging 16.9 field goal attempts per game. Out of those, 6.7 are 2-point field goals made and 1.9 are 3-point field goals made. He's scoring 1.1 points per field goal attempt. That's a solid number when you think about how many different ways he's creating offense. He's not a one-dimensional scorer who just camps at the rim or only fires threes. He's doing it from multiple spots, multiple ways, and still staying efficient doing it. But here's the number that really tells you how good his scoring has been this season. True shooting percentage. Wemby's true shooting percentage is 61.3%. That puts him better than 76% of players in the league. True shooting percentage is the most complete efficiency stat in basketball. It factors in 2-point field goals, 3-point field goals, and free throws all together. It's designed to give you the most accurate picture of how efficient a scorer actually is. And 61.3% is genuinely impressive. Think about what goes into that number. He's averaging 16.9 field goal attempts and 6.8 free throw attempts per game. That's a heavy usage load. A lot of players who take that many shots and get to the line that often see their efficiency drop because fatigue and defensive attention catches up with them. Wemby's not showing that. He's getting to his spots, he's converting, and he's doing it consistently enough to maintain a 61.3 true shooting percentage across a full season. The points per scoring attempt number is 1.2. That means every single time he attempts any kind of scoring play, whether it's a field goal attempt or a free throw attempt, he's averaging 1.2 points from it. For a player operating at this volume, that's a really strong return. You can have a guy who scores 25 points per game, but does it on terrible efficiency and high volume. That's not what's happening here. Wemby's volume is high, and the efficiency is still there. Let's put the free throw attempts in context too. 6.8 free throw attempts per game is a significant number. Getting to the free throw line, that consistently means he's drawing contact, he's attacking, and defenses are having to foul him to stop him. That also feeds directly into that true shooting percentage, because free throws are high efficiency scoring. If you can draw fouls and convert at the line, you're going to boost your overall efficiency, and Wemby's doing exactly that. The fact that he's in the 97th percentile in scoring is the headline, but what the supporting numbers tell you is that the scoring isn't empty. A guy in the 97th percentile who's also above 76% of the league in effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage isn't just a high volume scorer. He's a high volume and high efficiency scorer. That combination is genuinely rare in the NBA. Most players at the top of the scoring charts are either doing it efficiently on low volume or doing it on high volume with dipping efficiency. Wemby's doing both at an elite level. His effective field goal percentage of 56.5 and his true shooting percentage of 61.3 work together to paint the same picture. Whether you're measuring his efficiency strictly from the field or you're folding in free throws and three-point value, the answer keeps coming back the same. He's one of the more efficient, high-volume scorers in the league this season, and it's worth repeating because it doesn't get old. 24.6 points per game, 97th percentile. That means if you took every single player in the NBA this season and lined them up by points per game, Wemby's standing near the very top of that line. There are only a handful of players in the entire league scoring more than him per game, and he's doing it with an efficiency profile that holds up under every metric you want to use. The 2-point field goals made, the 3-pointers, the free throw attempts, the effective field goal percentage, the true shooting percentage, all of it points in the same direction. His scoring this season has been elite in volume, and it's been elite in quality. Those two things don't always go together, but when they do, you're looking at one of the best scorers in basketball, and that's exactly what the numbers say about Wemby this season. And the Spurs are better every time he's out there. But that reminds me, this video is presented by PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app. The playoff push is heating up right now, and with all these big games, I've been using PrizePicks a lot more, especially their new team picks. It just makes watching everything way more interesting, because now I'm not just watching the game, I actually have a take on who's going to win. I've always liked making player picks on PrizePicks, but now with team picks, I can go even further. I can pick game winners, spreads, totals, and even who's going to win it all. So every single game actually matters way more. And what I like is everything is in one place. Whether it's playoff seeding battles or big tournament games, I can make all my picks right in the PrizePicks app. Download the PrizePicks app today and pick your first game winner, spread, or total as the playoff push rolls on. And get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. When you use code CLNS, that's code CLNS to get $50 in daily fantasy lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. PrizePicks Predict is a registered FCM, offering team picks and culture picks as event contracts. Trading involves significant risk and is not for everyone. This content is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice. PrizePicks Predict does not guarantee statements made by third parties. Please consult a qualified professional before making decisions. Let's talk about teamwork, and not just any teamwork, because Wemby's teamwork numbers this season are sitting in the 99th percentile. 99th. That means out of every single player in the NBA this season, he ranks better than 99% of them when it comes to the positive margin he creates for his team. That's not a small thing. That's an almost perfect score in a category that measures how much a player actually moves the needle for the team around him. Start with the offensive rating. When Wemby is on the floor, the Spurs are running an offensive rating of 121.8. Offensive rating measures how many points a team scores per 100 possessions, and 121.8 is a strong number. That means when he's out there, San Antonio's offense is humming. They're generating points at a rate that puts serious pressure on opposing defenses, and his presence is a big reason why that number looks the way it does. Now flip it to the defensive side. When Wemby's on the floor, the Spurs are holding opponents to a defensive rating of 105.4. Defensive rating measures how many points a team allows per 100 possessions, and the lower that number, the better the defense is performing. 105.4 means opposing offenses are being contained when he's sharing the court. His shot blocking, his length, his ability to protect the rim and alter shots, all of it shows up in that defensive rating number. Defenses don't just happen because a team decides to try harder. They happen because someone on the floor is disrupting what the other team wants to do, and Wemby's doing exactly that. Put those two numbers together and you get the net rating. 121.8 on offense, 105.4 on defense. That's a net rating of plus 16.4. Plus 16.4. That's an enormous number. Net rating is the single best way to measure how dominant a lineup or a player's on-court presence truly is. And plus, 16.4 means the Spurs are outscoring opponents by 16.4 points per 100 possessions when Wemby's on the floor. That's not a marginal edge. That's a massive, consistent, game-controlling margin. Now let's talk about the on-off numbers, because this is where it gets really clear. The on-off number measures the difference in team performance when a player is on the court versus when they're sitting on the bench. Wemby's on-off number is plus 11.4. That means the Spurs outscore opponents by 11.4 more points per 100 possessions with him on the court compared to when he's off it. 11.4 points. That's the difference between a team that controls games and a team that's just trying to stay competitive. When he walks off the floor, the Spurs lose 11.4 points worth of margin per 100 possessions. That tells you everything about how much his presence matters. And then there's the games with positive plus-minus percentage, 80.6%. In 80.6% of the games he's played this season, Wemby has finished with a positive plus-minus. That means in more than 4 out of every 5 games, the Spurs have outscored their opponents while he's been on the floor. That kind of consistency is hard to maintain over a full season because you're going to face hot shooting nights from opponents, you're going to have bad matchups, you're going to have off nights. But he's finishing in the positive column more than 80% of the time. And that consistency is a huge part of why his mixed teamwork score is sitting in the 99th percentile. The 99th percentile ranking for mixed teamwork is calculated by looking at all of these numbers together and comparing them to every other player in the league. The offensive rating, the defensive rating, the net rating, the on-off, the positive plus-minus percentage. All of it gets factored in. And after all of that, Wemby comes out ranked better than 99% of NBA players in how much his presence creates a positive margin for his team. That's as close to a perfect score as you can get in this category. Think about what that means for a second. There are roughly 450 players who see meaningful minutes in the NBA in any given season. Being in the 99th percentile means he's outranking all but a tiny handful of them in terms of teamwork impact. It's not just that he scores and rebounds and blocks shots. It's that all of those individual contributions combine to create a team that's dramatically better when he's sharing the court. The whole point of plus-minus and on-off metrics is to capture that exact thing, and his numbers are about as good as it gets. The net rating of plus 16.4 is the number that keeps jumping out. When you see a player with a net rating that high sustained over a full season, you're looking at someone who is fundamentally changing the math of every game he plays in. The Spurs aren't just slightly better with him on the floor, they're running a margin that elite teams dream about, and he's the common denominator in all of it. 80.6% of games with a positive plus-minus, plus 11.4 on-off, plus 16.4 net rating, 100 to 21.8 offensive rating, 105.4 defensive rating. Every single one of those numbers is pointing in the same direction. His teamwork impact this season isn't just good for a young player or good for a big man. It's good by any standard, for any player, at any position, in the entire league. 99th percentile isn't a stretch when you look at what the numbers actually say. It's exactly where he belongs. But defense is where he shines. 99th percentile in defense. Just like the teamwork numbers, Wemby's sitting at the very top of the league when it comes to mixed team defense. That metric ranks him based on 2 things: how much he prevents opponents from scoring as a team, and how effective he is stopping players individually. And when you look at every single number attached to his defensive season, the 99th percentile ranking makes complete sense. Let's start with the blocks, because that's where his individual defense is most visible. 3.1 blocks per game. He's first in the entire NBA in blocks, and it's not a close race. The gap between him and the second best shot blocker in the league is 1.3 blocks per game. That's a massive separation. What that number means on a game-to-game basis is that opponents are having to think twice every single time they attack the rim. When a player is averaging 3.1 blocks per game, defenses across the league know before the ball even goes up that driving straight at Wemby is a dangerous decision. That kind of deterrence doesn't just show up in the block number. It changes how teams attack, where they attack, and how comfortable they feel doing it. Now add the steals. 1 point, 1 steals per game. Blocks and steals together give you the clearest picture of a player's individual defensive disruption. And Wemby's contributing in both categories. He's not just a rim protector who stays glued to the paint. He's active. He's anticipating passes. He's getting into passing lanes, and he's converting those reads into steals. 1.1 steals per game, alongside 3.1 blocks per game, is a combination that very few players in the NBA can match. Most elite shot blockers aren't also recording over a steal per game. The fact that he's doing both tells you his defensive instincts and his activity level are elite across the entire court, not just at the rim. Then there's the defensive rebounds. 9.4 defensive rebounds per game. That number is critical because defensive rebounding is one of the most important parts of team defense that doesn't always get talked about enough. When a team misses a shot, the defense needs to secure the ball and end the possession. If the defense doesn't rebound, the offense gets second chance points. And second chance points are some of the most damaging points in basketball because they come from possessions that should have already been over. Wemby's pulling down 9.4 defensive rebounds per game, which means he's consistently cleaning the glass and ending possessions the right way. He's not just blocking shots and disrupting plays. He's finishing the defensive sequence by securing the ball. Put the blocks, steals, and defensive rebounds all together, and you have a player who's disrupting shots at the rim, getting into passing lanes for steals, and cleaning the glass at an elite rate. Those three things cover almost every phase of what a dominant individual defender needs to do, and he's doing all three at a high level simultaneously. Now let's look at the team defensive efficiency number, because that's where his individual impact translates into team results. The Spurs are running a defensive rating of 105.4 when Wemby's on the floor. Defensive rating measures how many points a team allows per 100 possessions, and the lower the number, the better the defense is performing. 105.4 is a strong defensive rating, and it's being generated with Wemby as the anchor of that defense. He's the reason opposing offenses are being held to that number. When you have a player who blocks 3.1 shots per game and pulls down 9.4 defensive rebounds, opposing offenses can't just freely attack the basket. They have to work around him, they have to find alternative ways to score, and that pressure forces mistakes and inefficiency on the offensive end. A defensive rating of 105.4 isn't just good for the Spurs as a team, it's good by league-wide standard. When you're holding teams to that kind of efficiency, you're competing with the best defensive units in basketball. And Wemby's individual numbers explain exactly why that team defense is performing the way it is. The mixed team defense metric takes all of these numbers, the individual disruption from blocks and steals, the defensive rebounding, and the team defensive efficiency, and it compares them to every other player in the league. After running all of that, Wemby lands in the 99th percentile, better than 99% of NBA players in combined defensive impact. That's the same percentile he's sitting in for teamwork, and just like with teamwork, the underlying numbers justify every bit of it. 3.1 blocks per game, leading the entire league. 1.1 steals per game, adding individual disruption beyond just rim protection. 9.4 defensive rebounds per game, finishing possessions and keeping second chance opportunities off the board. A team defensive rating of 105.4, showing that his individual dominance is translating directly into team results. Every number is elite, every number is consistent, and every number is working together to create a defensive profile that almost no player in the league can come close to matching. The 99th percentile in defense isn't surprising when you actually break it down. It's the natural result of what happens when a player leads the NBA in blocks by a margin of 1.3 per game, contributes over a steal per game, dominates the defensive glass with 9.4 rebounds, and anchors a team defense running at 105.4. That's not one good defensive number, that's 4 good defensive numbers, all pointing in the same direction at the same time. The math works out to 99th percentile because that's genuinely where his defensive season belongs. And he's also an elite rebounder, 11.4 rebounds per game. That puts Wemby in the 97th percentile among all NBA players this season. 97th percentile means he's out-rebounding 97% of the entire league on a per-game basis. For a player who's already in the 99th percentile in defense and teamwork, adding a 97th percentile rebounding season on top of all of that just keeps building the case for how dominant his overall game has been this year. Let's break down where those 11.4 rebounds are coming from, because the split between offensive and defensive rebounding tells you a lot about how a player is contributing on the glass. Wemby's pulling down 9.4 defensive rebounds per game and 2.0 offensive rebounds per game. The defensive rebounding is obviously the bigger number, and it should be for any big man who's anchoring a defense the way he is. But both numbers matter, and both numbers are telling their own story about what kind of rebounder he actually is. Start with the 9.4 defensive rebounds per game. That's a huge number. Defensive rebounding at that volume means he's consistently being in the right position after missed shots, reading the ball off the rim, and securing possessions for San Antonio before. The opposing offense gets another crack at scoring. 9.4 per game over a full season isn't a hot streak or a handful of big rebounding games inflating the average. That's consistent, reliable, high-volume defensive glass work done night after night after night. Now look at the defensive rebound percentage, 28.44%. That number is in the 99th percentile. 99th percentile in defensive rebound percentage means that when Wemby's on the floor and a shot goes up, he's grabbing 28.44% of all available defensive rebounds. Not just the ones that happen to come his way, but 28.44% of every defensive rebound that's up for grabs while he's sharing the court. That's the kind of number that tells you he's not just a big body who happens to be near the ball when it comes off the rim. He's actively and aggressively pursuing defensive rebounds at an elite rate. 28.4. 4% defensive rebound percentage ranking in the 99th percentile is actually the more impressive number than the raw 9.4 per game average, because the percentage accounts for the competition around him. There are other players on the floor. There are other big men fighting for the same rebounds. And Wemby's still coming away with more than a quarter of every available defensive rebound while he's out there. That's dominance on the defensive glass by any measure you want to use. Now let's talk about the offensive rebounding. 2.0 offensive rebounds per game and an offensive rebound percentage of 7.02%, which ranks better than 76% of NBA players. Offensive rebounding is a completely different skill set from defensive rebounding. On the offensive glass, you're crashing toward the basket against a defense that's trying to box you out and keep you away from the ball. You're going against the grain of where the defense wants to push you. And Wemby's still coming away with 2.0 offensive rebounds per game and a 7.02% offensive rebound rate. That's better than 3/4 of the league. 7.02%. Offensive rebound percentage in the 76th percentile is a solid number for any player, but think about the context here. He's the primary rim protector and defensive anchor for the Spurs. His defensive responsibilities pull him toward protecting the paint and being in position to defend after a shot goes up. A lot of shot blockers and defensive anchors sacrifice offensive rebounding positioning because their defensive role demands they get back and protect. The fact that Wemby's still contributing 2 offensive rebounds per game and posting a 7.02% offensive rebound rate while carrying all of those defensive responsibilities is genuinely impressive. Offensive rebounds also directly create second chance points for San Antonio. Every time he crashes the offensive glass and comes away with a live ball, he's extending a possession that should have ended. Second chance opportunities are valuable in basketball because they come for free on top of an already completed possession. 2 offensive rebounds per game means he's regularly manufacturing extra possessions for the Spurs out of nothing. And that feeds directly into the team's overall offensive efficiency. The full rebounding picture is 11.4 per game total, 9.4 defensive and 2.0 offensive. The 97th percentile overall ranking reflects how dominant that total number is across the league. But when you dig into the percentages, the defensive rebound percentage of 28.44% sitting in the 99th percentile is the number that stands out most. That's not just a counting stat that accumulates, because he plays a lot of minutes. That's a rate stat that measures how often he's winning the battle on the glass against everyone else who's competing for the same ball, and he's winning that battle at a 99th percentile rate. Rebounding at this level also ties directly back into his defensive impact. The defensive rating of 105.4 that the Spurs run with him on the floor doesn't happen without the 9.4 defensive rebounds per game. Securing defensive rebounds kills possessions. It takes away second chance points before they can happen. It's the final step in a defensive sequence, and Wemby's completing that sequence at a 99th percentile rate on the defensive end, while also contributing positively on the offensive glass. 11.4 rebounds per game, 28.44% defensive rebound rate in the 99th percentile, 7.02% offensive rebound rate in the 76th percentile, 9.4 defensive boards and 2.0 offensive boards per game. Every single number in his rebounding profile this season is elite or better. And the 97th percentile overall ranking is exactly where a player with those kinds of numbers belong. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.